Happy New Year, OneNote fans. Well, not quite yet. It's New Year's Eve. Just wanted to show you a little bit. I finally finished with my planning setup for 2020, or at least for now. One of the things you'll probably realize if you are a fan of digital bullet journal planning or planning in OneNote in general is that we tend to tweak our setups, but I've been doing that the past couple of days and think I have it like I like it for 2020, and so I just wanted to share a little bit. First thing, wanted to share a little bit with you about why I plan in OneNote. For years, I was one of those people that had the Franklin Covey planners or all the cool spiral bound planners. I spent so many hours shopping either online or going from store to store to find the perfect planner. And guess what? I never actually found it. I would find them, but I would always end up taping in pages, editing pages, doing all sorts of hacks and changes to make it right. And then I discovered bullet journaling, and I tried that for a little while, but it just seemed seemed very labor intensive doing it on paper. And somehow I stumbled across bullet journaling in OneNote. I have been using Microsoft OneNote for work. I'm a teacher and have been using it for documentation and planning and things, and stumbled upon digital bullet journaling. There's a wonderful group on Facebook, and I'll put the link in the notes of this video if you'd like, called OneNote Bullet Journal Group. Michelle Christensen runs the group, and she does some great videos as well if you're getting started. And it just clicked for me. Um, Now, the second thing I have on my list here is how my planning is a little bit different from others. A lot of the bullet journal folks do a daily bullet journal. I tend to do mine on a weekly spread. I was the person when I used the paper Franklin planner, like the 2-page per week. That just seemed to be the method that worked best for me, and that continues to be so in OneNote. And when I show you my setups in just a minute, you'll see that's just how I work best. It just seems like what's worked best for me. So let me show you a little bit about the planner setup that I have. One other thing that I do different from some folks is I do not have a separate um, planner for the year. Instead, I have one notebook that I just call very creatively Tracy's notebook, and it has all sections for different areas of my life. So household, health, fitness, hobbies, those things are all together. And then quick notes is when I'm taking a note on the fly and don't really know where it belongs just yet. And so within that, I keep my plans in the planner section. I like these little emojis that are on here because it helps, especially when I'm on my mobile. It helps me make quicker visual identification of what section I want to be in. And if you're not familiar with how to insert these, if you're working in the Windows 10 version, if you hit the Windows key and the period, it will bring up the emoji keyboard and you can search for the appropriate emoji that you like. So within my planning section, the key of my planning section is my weekly planner. And so I tend to always have the current week, which is this one right here. And I've changed this format quite a bit. This is a format I have been working with for the past couple of weeks, and I have changed it in the coming year, and I'll show you why in just a minute. And then I usually have the next week's as well, and you'll notice that one for the coming week is very much different in format. The main reason for my changing these was this format right here. I had my events at the top and my to-dos at the bottom. And I found that my to-dos were getting forgotten a lot of times down here. I am the kind of person that likes to have some kind of an audio or visual actual reminder that pops up to make sure that I'm accountable for doing these things. And unfortunately, OneNote doesn't have a reminder function. So I started using Google Tasks as a part of my Google Calendar. As a matter of fact, I can click over there and show you that I have my tasks list right here. And that's how I keep track of my tasks. That's how I've been keeping track of it right now. We have heard in the coming year that Microsoft is going to be integrating Microsoft To Do with OneNote, and I'm very excited about that because I do like the Microsoft To Do task app, and I will probably try that when that becomes available. But this is how I had been doing it with the to-dos at the bottom and the actual events in my day here. And it just to me looked very cluttered, and I wasn't effectively going here. I was relying on getting them from my task app, either Google Tasks or Microsoft To Do, because I've kind of been experimenting with both. So for the coming year, I've switched to a little bit different format. And now what I have is just a spot for my day, and I have my different daily events. They would have times. Next week is the first week back after winter break for me as a teacher, so I don't have a lot of meetings and things on there with times just yet. That will change. But this is where I would put them. Um, Miscellaneous notes, ideas. Some people call it a brain dump. That's what would go in this section right here. I like to always, as things come up for the coming week, be able to quickly jot them down in here. And then something my husband and I are trying to do in the coming year. We eat out way too much right now, so we're trying to really save money and eat better by planning our meals at home. And so I've included this as an aspect of my planner coming forward. For this current week, I actually did a meal planner as a separate page for this week. Um, but I didn't like having a separate page. I wanted it all on one page. So coming forward, I decided it was easier just to have it integrated in that one spread. So that's what I have done. Um, Something else that I got from Michelle Christensen in her OneNote group was doing a monthly calendar of something positive for each day. And so I have my January 2020 calendar here. Here's my December one, which is almost full. What I put on this calendar is sometimes it's a big thing, sometimes it's a little thing. It may be as little as one of my students came up and told me something positive today. It may be something as big as I got news of a exciting new project that I've been asked to take on, or something like that. Just something positive. And I've really found that this helps me keep a positive outlook in life, because I know that every day at 10 o'clock, my little reminder comes up and tells me that I need to fill in my positive thing on the calendar. So it's kind of like I'm holding myself accountable to go back for my day and say, what was that good thing that happened today? Um, Going forward for 2020, this is just a list of projects, ongoing home projects that I have, and it's an absolute mess right now, so I'm going to skip over that. um, my 2020 yearly plan, this is something, if you watched Michelle Christensen's videos, she calls it a future log. I kind of call it a yearly plan. It just seems to work better for me that way. This is kind of my year at a glance, and I've put in the things that I know right now. I try to once a month, or as major things come and stick them in there so that I can kind of see in advance. If I'm looking to plan something for the month of June, for example, I would already know that June is a very, very busy month for me, and I might need to be careful in planning there. Something else that I've started doing every year is a focus for the year. I don't know if you've seen the one word movement, but I really like the idea of having one word that's kind of your theme for the year. Last year, mine was focus, and I had this little graphic, was a little light bulb that just had that on there just to kind of remind me. And instead of doing New Year's resolutions, I don't do that. I do something else. I actually do what I call an accomplishments list, but I do have goals for the year, things I want to focus on, and so I have 2 to 3 things in each of those areas that I want to focus on, and that just helps me stay focused on that. Um, as I mentioned, instead of the New Year's resolution, something I've been doing the last few years, you can see 2017, 18, and 19, is an accomplishments list. And it's very quickly just a list of the different accomplishments, different things that have happened over the course of the year. Some of those are big, some of them are small. And I've got my 2020 ready to go. I've got number one there, and as soon as that thing happens, I'm going to come and plug it in and start that list for the year. And it just makes me feel so much better. If we do the New Year's resolutions, we all know that by the end of January, we've kind of slipped off of most of those anyway, right? My weekly planning process, I just finished tweaking this a little bit for 2020. I've gotten to where I've got this kind of memorized now, but I do kind of scan over it and make sure that I do all these things. When I first started planning in OneNote, I would have to go through every week and check off all of these things to make sure that I've done them. Now I pretty much have gotten to where I do them routinely, but I do at least pull up this page and scan over it and say, okay, did I do everything? And occasionally I will catch myself and go, you know what, I haven't looked at my yearly plan in a while. Maybe I need to go in and take a look at that. The other sections of my planning section, these are just resources because I'm creating my own planners, all sorts of good things that I have in here. My coolest one that a lot of people like to see is my planner parts yard, which literally is all these different bits and pieces of other planners, and I just dump them all onto this page. When I get ready to go start a new planner, I can pick and choose and copy and paste from things that I've already done and edit instead of having to start from scratch every time. I organize my sections at the end. I organize them by month and then I organize them into quarters. So what you see here is fourth quarter of 2019, which has all of my October, November, and December planners in there. I have not moved this yet. I did a video last week about archiving those things, and I usually archive them. I have a filing cabinet notebook right here, which is where I archive those. Um, and I have my 2019 old planners are over there right now. However, fourth quarter's not there yet, and the reason for that being is this week right here um, is the last week. So even though it's only 2 days of the quarter, when I have finished this week, I will move this into the December section in there and go ahead and move it on because I consider that to be kind of wrapping up 2019. So this will be moving to the filing cabinet notebook as soon as the quarter, as soon as the week is over. And so for January, I have my planners already made. I like to make up all 4 weeks in advance. Um, I do sometimes change them a little bit, but I like having them. And then at the end of the month, something else that I got from Michelle, and I have just tweaked this, is a monthly review. And this is very, very helpful in tweaking your planning process at the end of the month, usually a few days into the next month. So probably 3 or 4 days into February, I'll sit down and go back and look over January and say, okay, what were my accomplishments this month? I'll make sure that if these are significant, that they get on that accomplishments list. What were my challenges this month? What were some of the things I struggled with or I didn't get done or just had problems with? Any surprises, things that I just had no clue was going to happen, things that worked well this month, and then what needs to change for the next month. This is a template right here, so I put X because it's a template, but I would change that to say February to be successful. And so then I would put that in here, and I usually put these things in here in a bulleted point fashion. And then health review, I have some various health issues, nothing serious, that I've been dealing with over the past year or so. And so I kind of tend to review what's gone on over the course of the month with it because it's in a monthly block seems like it's the easiest way for me to review that. So that's kind of what my monthly section would look like. This week would come down here once it's finished and keep it in there. And then I would keep January, February, and March. At the end of March, I would put them all into a thing that would say first quarter. That way I can see them. I do have a section for future planning. This actually has the calendar for the current school year. What I would be doing is closer to the end of this school year, I would put the calendar for 2020, 2021 in there, which I haven't done that yet. And then any of my own templates that I've planner templates that I've created, and I've got quite a few, I keep those in there. So that in a nutshell is pretty much what my planning setup looks like for 2020. I showed you a little bit about my changes. I would really encourage you, if you haven't already taken advantage of checking out the OneNote Bullet Journal Facebook group to do that. Also, if you want to learn more about bullet journaling or planning in OneNote, the easiest way to do that is simply to go to YouTube and type in OneNote Bullet Journal or OneNote Digital Planner, and there's going to be a plethora of videos that come up. Pick and choose and learn what you can from each one. That's pretty much what I've done, is pulled from a lot of different sources and finally compiled that into something that I like and that I consider my own. So happy New Year, be safe, be smart, and be organized.